how to code. So one of the things that is really important is to code in the most concrete manner possible. So, for example, I had read a piece of data here about information about a young person saying, I spoke to former classmates. We had gone to elementary school together, we stayed together, and we talked about high schools together. So the code I gave for that was student networks. Why? Because it's a student talking to other students or peer networks about high schools. You might be tempted to say, oh, that's the same thing as social capital. Let me code it social capital. You want to code it as concrete as possible. You don't want to become abstract and code it to a theory. You want to code it to what is actually happening. A child is speaking to another child about schools. The reason for that is once you put your piles all together, you're then going to be looking at how they relate to each other in terms of how you will extend a theory, challenge a theory, or create your own theory. So you don't want to say that this is a particular theory, rather say what is happening, to allow yourself the room to contribute to that theory in some way, if that makes sense. And you don't want to and because you could be wrong. There could be some piece of data that you think is related to a theory, but you don't know that until a pattern emerges. You can't do that based on one snippet of data. So that's the other reason why you want to withhold that. And that will emerge when you code again.
How do you write up the results?
So eventually you will get envelopes where every piece of data that is about the same phenomenon is together, and you'll be able to see. You notice that I have that colors are very important. Each of these stages is given a color, and each of the schools is given a color. And I also have a little mark for whether the person interviewed is a parent or a child. So ideally when you open up the envelope, I scan through and I can see that most of the envelope is red. Hot pink. That's the color that I gave to the Gracie School. So whatever is happening in that envelope, parents talking to other parents, it's happening a lot in the Gracie School. These are the different examples that I have.